Brethren, the nugget that I'm presenting from Solomon today is entitled The Red Apron, which in summary is the origin, function and development of the Grand Steward's Lodge and its provincial counterparts. Occasionally we will see in our lodges a brother or brethren wearing a red apron. Newer brethren often wonder why this apron is so different to the others that they see in the lodge. The red apron denotes that a brother wearing it is a Grand Steward. Usually the ones we see are provincial Grand Stewards, but at Grand Lodge we will see the Grand Stewards occupying prominent seats in the front rows. The office of Grand Steward is highly sought after. Candidates are nominated by the 19 so-called Red Apron lodges each year. If a Red Apron lodge, for whatever reason, fails to nominate a Grand Steward, then the privilege can be transferred to another lodge. Needless to say, these lodges are zealous in ensuring that they do not lose this privilege, though in the past one lodge did forget. From the very earliest days of the Premier Grand Lodge, it was the custom to hold an annual feast, and the stewards assisted the Grand Wardens in organising it. In 1729, a Steward's Lodge was formed, which in 1792 evolved into the Grand Steward's Lodge we see today. The first reference to a red apron at the Premier Grand Lodge was in 1731, when the Grand Lodge ordered that those brethren that are stewards shall wear their aprons lined with red silk and their proper jewels pendant to red ribbons, and that all those who have served the office of steward be at liberty to wear aprons lined with red silk and not otherwise. In the early years of the Premier Grand Lodge, there were very few officers, other than the Grand Master, his deputy, and the wardens. Other officers were gradually added over the years, but the steward was a very early and important office, and many Grand Stewards went on to take high office. The Grand Stewards formed their own lodge to enable them to meet and make the arrangements for the banquet and maintain the friendships formed during their year in office. The membership of the lodge then and now is restricted solely to those who are or have been Grand Stewards. It is common knowledge that the Grand Stewards subsidise the considerable cost of the banquets from their own pockets. The Grand Steward's Lodge is unique in the English Constitution, inasmuch as it has no number. This dates back to the 18th of April 1792, when it was placed at the head of the list by order of the Grand Lodge and given the name it now holds. Today, Grand Stewards are chosen from candidates nominated by the 19 Red Apron lodges and appointed by the Grand Master. They are usually the masters of those lodges. During their year of service, they rank as Grand Officers. Thereafter, they are past Grand Stewards, but not past Grand Officers. The Grand Steward's Lodge has no powers to initiate, pass, or raise masons. Apart from organising the banquet, the Grand Stewards are part of the ceremonial team at Grand Lodge, where they parade in with the other Grand Officers, escorting the Grand Master into the meeting, and later assist the Grand Director of Ceremonies in escorting brethren to the dais to receive their grand rank, before parading out when the lodge is closed. Provincial Grand Lodges have also found it very useful to form their own provincial Grand Stewards Lodges, and those that are chosen as provincial Grand Stewards for the year are invited to join the provincial Grand Stewards Lodge. Although it may be seen as the lowest rank in the provincial offices, the brethren appointed to that office are chosen with care for their ability to discharge their Masonic duties. There is a close similarity between the apron of the Grand Steward and that of the provincial Grand Steward. The major difference is that the crimson edging is about twice as wide on the Grand Steward's apron. The offices of Grand Steward and Provincial Grand Steward have always been most honourable and sought after posts, and may it long continue. Well, brethren, I hope that helps you understand what the Red Apron is about. Now, here in Somerset, we do have a Somerset Provincial Grand Steward's Lodge, number 9189. It meets at the Masonic Hall in Weston-super-Mare at 10:45 on the third Saturday in the months of February, May and October. And I'm sure if you would care to visit, you would be most welcome. Thank you very much indeed, brethren, for your kind attention. I hope you've enjoyed this Solomon Nugget.